Good morning. Sharp at 10, Constantinos instructed me just to be just on time, like bunkering in Istanbul, let's say. This is an IBIA session. Thank you, IBIA. They are our strategic partners, and they are here for all team. I'm really, let's say, honored. I was board member, consul and board member for 20 years for IBIA, 2002, 2022. But after me, we are more proud because two very nice friends, very good friends on board of IBIA, and they are all here. Constantinos, I don't need to say anything, but just invite you for the IBIA session, your team all together, and we are ready to listen to IBIA board. Please. Constantinos, Alexander, Nigel, Mustafa, and Ufu.
Good morning. We closed the session last night, so we are here after a very nice party, and I want to thank again the Turkish Banker Association. It was a lovely night. A lot of made it, so not so much drinking, but it was a lot of dancing, so that's always good. Thank you for being here. I'm Alexander Prokopakis. I'm the Executive Director of IBIA. I'm honored to be among our board members and, of course, our chair, Constantinos Capetanakis. IBIA is more relevant to shipping than ever. We have to navigate through the process of decarbonization and green fuels. And what better way to do that through our IBIA members? As Mustafa said, we are very proud to have two of our board members to be from the Turkish banker industry and the shipping industry. And we see a lot of shipping people being here. So again, it's very, very important for all of us to collaborate. We live in an ever-changing times, and we think that the purpose of IBIA on that process is very, very important to help the shipping community and, of course, our banker members to go through this process. So without further ado, we'll start the discussion, and for you to know a little bit everybody, I want you to start, Constantinos, by introducing what you do on your day job and not as a chair of IBIA, and then we'll go through the whole panel in order to start.
IBIA is all I do. 24 hours a day is IBIA, no, but it's close. It has become almost a full-time job. If one wants to do the things we discuss and decide in the board, it takes commitment, which is a pleasure because we can see the results in the way IBIA is being present in all the strategic locations, through our regional boards, through all the events we do. But apart from this, my day job is at Starbulk. Starbulk Carriers, as I briefly mentioned yesterday, is the largest dry bulk operator in the world. It's listed in the New York Stock Exchange, so we own approximately 150 ships. We have all sizes, and we are, let's say, trump traders mostly. We have quite a substantial bunkers department, bunkers energy department, which I had, and we wanted, this is why I mentioned that, and we all do, that IBIA includes all links to the maritime chain. We wanted to be heard and to listen everything that is going on within the marine energy industry. So in 2019, we joined IBIA. We were not the only ship owner, but at the time, the bunker suppliers were more than ship owners, something which we are changing, including more and more ship owners, more and more specialists, more and more fuel producers, and other stakeholders of the shipping industry. So we joined IBIA with great pleasure and anticipation. It was actually one of the main reasons was the working groups which existed at the time. They always existed. So we thought that we would gain valuable knowledge from that. So we did, and then I got involved with a board, and as I said, I was elected, and I can easily say that my work at Starbuck has become much easier, much more holistic, and much more well-informed through the knowledge I gained from IBIA. Not the knowledge through being a board member or running the board, but through the knowledge IBIA distributes to the board, to the members, and everything through this type of events.
You're a true testament, because the misconception in the industry is that we are a suppliers association. Obviously, suppliers and traders are the majority of our membership, but having a chair coming from the ship owning community, the buying side, is very important, showing the diversity of our stakeholders. Nigel.
Good morning, all. As a number of you know, I am a marine engineer. I worked at sea with Shell tankers from 1966 to 1979 with the British fleet, sailing clean products, dirty products, and also LNG, and reached the rank of a relieving chief engineer. I was then invited to come ashore and work with Shell International Marine's technical department, and I worked on new construction, research, accident investigation, before moving into the commercial field as the head of the bunker buying unit for the worldwide fleet. I moved into bunker broking in 1996 and managed the bunker broking department of EA Gibson Shipbrokers in London. That department was purchased in 2006 by an American company called LQM Petroleum Services. They bought us en masse, so I literally shifted offices within the UK, and we were then LQM UK, but I was also the technical manager for the whole of the LQM group of 6 different offices. I retired in 2016, as you will all have noticed, and I've worked as a consultant, expert witness, and arbitrator on shipping and bunkering issues. I have been active in IBIA since its initial unofficial formation in 1992, when a group of us got together because we felt something needed to be done. Since then, I've served as a board member, treasurer, vice chairman, chairman, immediate past chairman. That's a role they abolished after I did it. And active in the safety working group, the technical working group, the future fuels working group, and very much in training. I regard my service in IBIA to be my most significant contribution to the industry, and my passion is to provide training and information to the new entrants and to those moving to new responsibilities within the industry.
Servicing well what we try to do, and that gives me the opportunity to say that tomorrow we are holding a training course on alternative fuels here in Turkey. Close to 20 people will attend, and this shows the thirst of the industry. And thank you, Nigel, of providing this training. Mustafa, our newest board member from the group.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, very, very sincerely, I would like to share my sincere appreciation to Mr. Mustafa Muhtaroğlu and his team, the executive committee members of Turkish Bunker Association, for this great organization. They organized it in a very, very short period and in a great way. Everything is flawless. He kindly requested big applauses for everyone who participated in this organization, but I think we should give him a big applause for this achievement. I think he is a great mentor in our organization, in our sector, the Turkish bunkering sector, and I really feel privileged to have the chance to work with him, to learn from him. Thank you, Mustafa. Sağ olun, eksik olun. My name is Mustafa Aslan. As Alexandra kindly mentioned, I am the newest board member of IBIA. I was elected in the last elections in February, actually, and my official assignment has started last month in April. It's kind of a tradition in some associations or organizations to put the first one and the last one together. I just felt the same. I don't have too much to share about my background about IBIA because, as I mentioned, I am a board member for only the last 2 months. Aligned with my board membership assignment, also I joined the organization committee, which is responsible for all physical and online meetings, organizations, including IBIA dinner and conventions as well. Besides my role in IBIA, I'm the chairman of Asmira Group, which main activity is still bunkering operations in the Aegean side of Aegean region of Turkey. Besides that, we have been running some yachting and marine fuel activities. Our company is a 48-year-old company and the second generation owner and executive chair of the company. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mustafa. Ufuk.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ufuk Eninç. I am founder and the CEO of Unarco Bunkering. I am in this business more than 30 years as a captain, container line operator, and bunker supplier. I have been serving board member since 2024 in IBIA Global Board. Thank you very much for this kind of good organization and collecting all the stakeholders under the same roof.
Thank you, Fuk. It is very, very important, and that's why we value the partnership we have with the Turkish Banker Association and other associations around the world, because, like I said in the opening, collaboration, especially at these times, is very important for our industry. It's clear that all of you have joined IBIA in different times, so we'll start with the first. Nigel, what prompted you? You are one of the founding members, so give us a little bit what prompted you to start IBIA, and if it was one thing you would like to see moving forward for IBIA, what that would be.
Okay, well, there was a group of us at a conference in Singapore in 1992. Conference was SIBCON, Singapore International Bunker Conference. And besides attending the conference meetings, sometimes we managed to get away and have a couple of drinks and a chat. During one of these, one of our number said, "I think there's something seriously wrong with our industry. The different participants do not talk together about their mutual problems. They only talk about football or what the price is going to be tomorrow."
We still talk about the prices.
Collectively, we saw what he was getting at. That if we started to talk to people from the other participants in our industry, rather than our own particular individual little bit as a buyer or a seller, we were far more likely to find solutions and ways around that. So we met again later in the year in the UK and formed a steering group. It was initially 8 because myself as an employee of Shell and Bob Thornton as an employee of Exxon were not permitted to officially join by our companies. We were told we could attend, but we couldn't officially join. Both companies within a month agreed that we could officially join. So we ended up with 12 in the initial steering group. We decided what the association needed to look like because it would need to be attractive to all potential participants. Yeah? We formed the association structure, and the association was launched in Florida in 1993. And just so the world understood how earth-shattering and important this was, we held our meeting in Disney World. And we had 250 people there. With hindsight, I think that our general intentions have actually been met. But we have had problems in convincing outsiders, that's people who were not members, that this wasn't just an Englishman's club, or it wasn't just a suppliers' organisation, because these were perceptions that filtered through the marketplace. If you want some evidence of that, look at our chairman over the years. We have had suppliers, traders, brokers, ship operators, port operators, analysis companies, all as chair of IBIA. Every single one of these sectors has had at least one chairman. I'm most proud of the fact that we obtained recognition as a consultative organisation at the IMO. A lot of that is down to the hard work of one of our previous chief executives, Ian Adams, who really did push for that for a period of about 4 or 5 years. I'm really proud of that. It's important, however, that we do not focus on a single topic, because if we did, that would ignore the breadth of our membership. Yeah? We need to focus always on the needs of all of our members, especially with regard to managing their expectations and also understanding their need for explanation of the new coming in regulations, why they're coming in, how can we best handle them. Yeah? The need for training at all levels, both in basic and complex industry topics, and we must also provide accessible information for our members. Our members should be able to go to our website and find out information, but they should also be able to go through our secretariat and find out information. For myself, since my first appointment as a third engineer, where for the first time in my life I had in my care a young apprentice engineer, I've been committed to training. IBIA permits me to do this, and I feel honoured to have been able to do so for so many years.
Thank you, Nigel. Ufuk, you are a year already at the
Yes.
board, so again, it gives you some time to say what prompted you to come in IBIA, but most importantly, on your last year on the board, what would you like to see from IBIA?
Actually, I am very happy to be a part of IBIA, because IBIA is not an association. IBIA is changing. IBIA position between association and the organization. IBIA is driving body at the moment for all sides of the marine energy. Therefore, we are discussing everything during the board meeting and the working group meetings. And as Mr. Chairman mentioned yesterday, we have more than 500 members all over the world from the different side of the bunkering or marine energy sides. We are trying to answer all of them, and we are working to adapt new regulations. And also we are working to give correct, real life information to the organization like IMO. Therefore, it's good to be here.
Mustafa, you don't have the experience, as you mentioned, only a month, but it's something that what you would like to see from IBIA.
20 years ago, actually, my IBIA career started with a bunkering course, which I had taken from Nigel.
What a surprise. Probably half of us here.
Actually, I am very keen to be active member in the associations and organizations which are present in the ecosystems that we are commercially active as the company. And IBIA is for sure one of the most important of them. I am a member of different 15 associations at the moment, and I had the chance to carry the roles on the board as vice president, president, or regular board member in 5 of them, actually. So what I am expecting from an organization or a non-governmental organization or an institution is to develop myself intellectually, to develop my professional career, but of course to contribute to the processes of that organization. I will try my best during the period of my assignment of IBIA to realize this.
Thank you, Mustafa. Looking forward to it. Constantinos, you have the most difficult task out of the three of them, I think, because as a chair, you also need to show some of your work that has been done and what every chair has done, the legacy. So, on your second term now, what you would like to see on this year from IBIA?
Well, what I wanted to see when I decided to join IBIA, as I said yesterday, I briefly mentioned I'm not a banker person. I'm a lawyer. I'm an English solicitor, basically. So, and I'm a commercial person. I didn't know anything about bankers until 10 years ago, maybe less. So when I joined IBIA, I wanted to see an association which would make things happen according to its powers as an association, of course, and to see everyone within the marine energy industry be members of this association. I found it incomprehensible if anyone is involved directly or indirectly with bankers in the wider sense, not to be an IBIA member. It makes no sense. It makes no sense because IBIA is the focal point of everything related to fuels. And being a member there means two things. First, it means that you can learn everything that goes on in this industry in a coherent and concentrated manner. And two is that it's a badge of honor to be a member of IBIA. So that is my aim. That is the legacy I would like to leave. To make IBIA a household name in the sense that being an IBIA member automatically brings to mind that you are transparent, that you are a quality professional in whichever specific aspect of the marine energy industry, and that you know what you're talking about. This is why we are growing, as we keep on saying, in numbers and in substance. This is why more ship owners come in, because they want to learn and because they want to show that bunker is not a byproduct of everyday operations. In my company, I am, as you can imagine, the biggest spender by far. My department, my hand, signs checks for about $250 million per year. So I'm by far the biggest spender. That means that bankers need to be in your minds, in all of our minds, in the place that they deserve, which means 40% of OPEX. I don't need to say anything more. 40% of OPEX is bankers. So how cannot the association, which represents all banker stakeholders, not have them all within its ranks? And we have so many places where all of you can be active, all of us can be active. Our newest member, Mustafa, mentioned that he's already a member of our events working group, which is responsible for all of our events. And the events for IBIA are not only the blood of our financial existence, but they're also the place to be where we can talk. We can easily ask afterwards Mustafa Mukhtaroglu, how long did it take for him to organize this event? Months. More than 6, I suppose. So you can imagine that everyone has something to say and something to contribute. So what do I look forward from IBIA as a whole, and not only for my definite term as chair, is that IBIA becomes more influential everywhere. And everywhere is not something vague. Everywhere means specific jurisdictions and places where decisions are being formed. Yesterday I heard one dear colleague saying that IBIA should do something about the fragmented regulations, correct? IBIA is doing something for these fragmented regulations. This is why, for example, we formed the European Regional Board, consisting of European members, to focus on the regulations which take place in the EU and be heard. So to participate in discussions in the various organizations, whether this is the International Ports and Harbor Association or other associations. But bear in mind that IBIA is a NGO with a consultative status, which means we are heard, yes, we have a room to be heard, but we do not have a vote. The problem is the usual word, politics. So IBIA needs to become mindful, and this is what we are trying to do, all of us in the board, that we need to act political as well, in the sense that, listen, look who we have behind us. If we have behind us more than 60, 70, 80% of all bunker stakeholders, not only the ones who provide residual fuels, but the ones who will be providing the famous alternative fuels, then you need to listen to us. You need to listen the logic behind what we are saying and what we are advocating. So IBIA needs to be mindful on that, and I hope that we will make it going forward.
And that gives me a great opportunity to mention that a lot of people didn't know, and the work that we do, sometimes we don't advertise it as much as we can. And it was mentioned yesterday when we moved from B24 to B30. This is 100% IBIA work.
This is IBIA.
It's produced by its members, because we don't have a big secretariat. It was supported by our IMO representative, Dr. Edmund Hughes, and of course our board that make the final submission. In all honesty, I don't believe that if any other association would have made the same submission, it would have passed. But this is only a small testament of the work that has been done within IBIA and brings to the industry. So we said a lot, and you will hear more about our work. And let's shift a little bit gears. Ufuk, important Turkey is a big bunker market. What's the challenges as a physical supplier? And as we said, different stakeholders within this panel as well. But what's the challenges you see as a physical supplier here in Turkey?
Actually, we are in different location because we are middle of the big trade routes between Black Sea and Far East, and also we are middle of the different regulations. For example, when you look at the Met-SECA Finnish entrance of the Dardanelles, we are affecting too much for the SECA rules. And also for the Black Sea, partially affected for the EU ETS system. Therefore, we are trying to prepare ourselves for all kind of different type of bunkers. But of course, it's too costly. Therefore, my opinion, as my company policy, we are still trying to understand what's going on, what's changing. Because, okay, we are seeing gas oil demand increase significantly, but also some of our friends in Turkey, suppliers, trying to offer ultra-low sulfur fuel oil. But in reality, when you enter the one of the buyer company, they have three strategies. Technical people trying to use non-headache fuel oil, commercial people trying to get best price, management side trying to avoid of the taxes and penalties. It's very difficult to manage also buyer side. Therefore, better to be collaborate together.
Keyword.
Yes.
And that brings me to Mustafa.
And also you can see yesterday, for example, Mr. Mustafa said some 40 sponsors support this organization. It means everybody wants to collaborate to each other. Otherwise, there are lots of different regulation, different mentality, different demands. It's not easy to manage it.
It's key for us, and we keep saying that to have a level playing field, we would like to see global regulation, and that's why it's very important to have IMO consultancy status. And that will bring me to Mustafa. You came on the IBIA board with the strong support of the Turkish Chamber of Shipping, and we have a great relation with them as well. You have been in many associations, as you say. What do you see the key in this collaboration in associations, and for us to be able to come closer in order to actually make work shown through association? Because when a lot of people come together, it's easier to be passed. Any tips for us?
Thank you very much, Alexander. Actually, as you mentioned, I was nominated by Turkish Chamber of Shipping. I am a reserved board member and a general council member in the headquarters of Turkish Chamber of Shipping. So that was the main reason why they nominated me. And I was elected by the appreciation of our members to IBIA board as well. I think the key thing is, during my candidacy, I had mentioned a lot of times, I said that I would be a bridge in between Turkish Chamber of Shipping and IBIA if I was elected. I think this is the key word. We have to generate more active IBIA members which have active roles in other organizations and institutions, local institutions as well. We have another great example. Mr. Muhtaroğlu is a former IBIA board member. I think this is the main reason why we are here today as IBIA. We have a mutual member here. He is the chair of Turkish Bunkering Association. And tomorrow we have a bunkering course in Turkish Chamber of Shipping. We have our meetings there. I think this is the key thing. The key method is to generate more active IBIA members which are active in different national or local institutions. As Mr. Capetanakis mentioned, we have regional boards. Through that regional boards, we can generate members like this, which will be active in the other institutions. And we have to physically invite these institutions to our key events. I think IBIA dinner is a great event to represent our association. When I first attended to IBIA dinner years ago in London, it was love at first sight for me. I mean, I was positively shocked, and at that day I said that to myself, one day I'll be active in IBIA because that's a great organization.
So it did become a reality.
Yes, my dream became true.
The IBIA dinner is a well-known event, more than 1,200 people every year. Constantinos mentioned yesterday our annual convention, similar to this, but on a global level, because we have said many times it's very important to support regional matters, but on a global level, this year we're holding our annual convention in Hong Kong during Hong Kong Maritime Week. So I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of you to attend, blend with the shipping community. We try to do something different and be involved. Talking about the shipping community, we heard the supplier side of FUC. You mentioned it a little bit as a buyer, what you're looking for IBIA. Do you think we do a lot of, are our buying members, I know I'm putting you in a tough spot, are happy with IBIA and what we can do more, what they would see from us to do more?
Buyers want two things, and you will be surprised it's not only good price. It is, but it's not the only thing they want. They want a good and fair contract. So I'm afraid I have the various hats. I will now partly wear my lawyer's hat. And I would like to say that terms and conditions of bunker suppliers have room for improvement. And I'm being polite. They need to be more balanced, and this is what buyers are looking for. They get easily frustrated when they have the perception that it's a take it or leave it situation when it comes to terms and conditions. Fortunately, we see this trend gradually being changed. IBIA's role in that is quite sensitive because it's a purely commercial transaction. Terms and conditions can be amended, as in all contracts, if both parties want to amend them within any level. So IBIA says that come together, discuss, negotiate if you want, agree separate or variable terms, and proceed. If we can convince buyers that there are specific local regulations, there are specific operational constraints, that there are reasons for a contract to be structured like this, or for specific time to pass before the barge reaches the vessel because it needs to acquire permissions, etc., 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 then I think the skepticism and sometimes the suspicion from the buying side will go away. For my part, I'll give you an example. Before joining IBIA, I was ignorant of many peculiarities of some regions. My first introduction with Mustafa was before I joined IBIA for a bunkering we did here in Istanbul. So I insisted on some points as a buyer, and I was told quite clearly, as you can imagine, that it cannot be done because of the Turkish regulations. I became wiser. after that. And we had no disagreement after that. So when friends or acquaintances ask me about some things regarding bunker deliveries here in Turkey, I'm not ignorant. I can guide them. I can tell them. Our board members can tell them, and that applies to many jurisdictions. So this is the key, let's say, selling point to a buying company. Join IBIA, and you will learn more about the bunkering business through our training for the peculiarities, technical and operational, but commercially, you can meet everyone, speak to everyone. I don't think you would have a problem if you joined a room and you were 50 sellers and half of the room had 50 buyers. I think you would be super excited to have this because it would give you an opportunity to get to know them and possibly make them clients in the future. And even if you don't make clients of them, you will be known to them and they will talk about you. So it's a chain which is not ending anywhere. Because everything is interlinked and goes on in circles. So this is what a buyer needs to understand, that they do not have anything to lose. On the contrary, they have plenty to win when they talk to their stakeholders. Why do we participate as buyers in technical committees of classification societies? Why do we participate in commercial associations? Because there is prospect of learning, of doing business, etc. The same applies for this. What needs to be done is for everyone to be open. If we have a problem, we need to talk about it. If we have an idea, we need to share it. The competitive advantage is not lost. The competitive advantage is lost only if you hide in one corner and believe that you possess all knowledge. If we were functioning in a vacuum, yes, but this is not a vacuum, it's a community.
Talking about the community and going back a little bit of the work of IBIA, why it's important. There was a recent paper submitted by 3 huge associations, ICS, Intercargo, and Intercargo, about custody of bunkers and the transfer point. We weren't involved, and in recognition, BIMCO weren't involved either because they didn't want to go up against bunkering regulations. We made an intervention. Our IMO representative brought it to the board, and we make a simple paper to the IMO. The suggestion of the 3 huge associations didn't go through because the industry, the government, and the people who vote, as Constantinos mentioned, they trust IBIA of the work that we do and the members that we have. So this is important for all of you to know, bringing on the points, because you can imagine to have been difficult from Constantinos' part representing a buyer but being a chair of an association, but being very open and transparent. This is the right thing to do, and that's the work we keep doing. Nigel, the open history of IBIA, how things have evolved through bankers over the years and IBIA.
Well, I can tell you all, but do remember this is just my view. Others may have a slightly different one. But what's happened is that our role has grown as our membership has grown. We started off having discussions with members around the various problems that we all saw. But because of the nature of the initial membership, which was very heavily biased towards a few hotspots, we had a lot of people in Northwest Europe. We had a reasonable number in the southern states, especially of the USA. And we had a small concentration from the Far East. But remember that a lot of this, in these little discussions, this is before, almost before emails, before Zoom, before FaceTime, before Teams. So people couldn't join in a meeting of a global organization at the drop of a hat. Today, when we have our board meetings and our events meetings, with a couple of exceptions, they are always remote. Because we can. If we had been able to do that in 1993, we would have done. And that sort of they didn't halt development, but it's kept it fairly slow. However, within a year, we had a structure. You can go back in the records and read me if you don't believe me, but we had a structure that had working groups. We initially had 5. We had a structure that included regional groups. We've just got to the stage where we've got all of those working groups and all of those regional groups up and running, with regional boards, with main board members attending regional board meetings, with working groups meeting very, very regularly, some of them meeting every fortnight, others meeting every month. And it's been facilitated by technology, of course. Now, my pet bit. In 1993, together with 2 other members, a chap called Doug Barrow, who was our first chairman, and the late, great Angus Ogilvie, who was very senior in the Cockett group, we wrote a 1-day basic bunker course. And the idea was we could run it wherever. Any IBIA member who was comfortable and competent at presenting could work together with people in his area and run that course in that area. And in fact, the plan was that the course would be presented by at least 3 or 4 presenters, although you couldn't always get that number. But this started the whole business off, that we had a huge wealth of talent within the membership, and we should use it to educate newcomers coming into the industry, to help existing people in the industry to train their own new staff. Yeah? And we now have a whole suite of courses. Some are remote, some are in person at conventions and conferences, etc. We have a duty to advise and inform our members about new developments, especially where it becomes new regulations as appropriate. And we have to provide effective means of disseminating that information, whether it is via newsletters, alerts, new training courses, or presentations at our conventions. And this is exactly what we're trying to do now.
When you listen to it and simply see it, might have not progressed a lot, but trust me, like Nigel said, it takes time, and putting and now having all working groups and all regional boards in place give us the substance, as always Constantinos keeps saying, to do the work in order to present to the shipping community. So with that said, and as we want to keep on time, Constantinos is very particular on time, as Mustafa is as well. So we want to thank you all. We have a great panel coming up. And again, thanks the IBIA board members for being here, and thanks the Turkish Banker Association for having IBIA as a strategic partner. Mustafa, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. Yes. Any questions for any of the panelists?
Yeah, I would like to ask first question. Yeah, when I was board member and Henry was chairman, I think, and I proposed in written to have branches, and the board is made of people coming from branches, and this was written proposal to the board. Then the people changed and Henrik left, and I don't know what happened there. But now we are, of course, IBIA. I mean, I'm saying we IBIA, now starting up boards, Europe, Americas, Africa was already existing. So these boards, regional boards, I think it's already existing. But you just appoint them. You said European board is just these guys. Is it going to be by election? It must be by election. To my mind.
You ask and reply at the same time.
No, no, no. To my mind, I mean, I'm very democratic, That's why. This is my question. Is it going to be, you just say these guys are board member for Europe or in America, or?
So by branches you mean regional boards, right?
Regional board.
Okay. There are 5 regional boards up and running, as we said. Africa, Asia, Middle East, Americas, and Europe. The original idea was to test how they work, test how they will function within the global scheme of things, and then decide their final structure and the way forward, which was decided last year. Last year, IBIA had a very comprehensive amendment of its bylaws. And it took us a lot of time. I did this. I mean, I drafted this, being the lawyer at the time in the board. And we had extensive discussions to see how we would move forward. So this is how it's going to be, Mustafa. These are not, the members of the regional boards are going to be appointed by the global board through election within the global board. We are not going to have a general election for appointing a regional board member in Asia and ask our Colombian members to vote whether X, Y, Z is suitable for this position. We are going to have an internal global board election. The global board consists of members from many areas of the world, and we discuss and accept proposed nominations from any IBIA member. We collect these names. It could be 20 names. For example, the European Regional Board was formed in November. The possible candidates for this board were more than 20, if I'm not mistaken. And we held internal board elections, the 12 of us at the time, to decide who of these candidates would be members of the European Regional Board. We selected them through vote, and then we approached them. You have to understand, a regional board member who is proposed, let's say Mustafa proposes the gentleman on his right. That doesn't mean that you necessarily want to be a regional board member. We will consider and explain to you what the duties will include of a regional board member, and if you say yes, you are appointed. If you say no, because you do not have the time or the willingness to participate in such a scheme, then we proceed. So the regional board members are appointed by the board after internal election, and the chairs of the regional boards. The good catch is that the regional chairs are co-opted in the global board. What does that mean? That they are global board members. They do not have a voting right, but they attend all global board meetings. So the inner circle of the global board allows the regional chair to be present in all, not allows, has the regional chair be present in all of its meetings. So to carry on the knowledge and the information to the regional board. You understand? And these are all provided in the bylaws. Did I forget something?
One point. Actually, I was curious who wrote that paper, and argument you did to Henrik, because actually I read that paper, and Constantinos can attest that I was a proponent of election in the regional board. Yes. One of the important points that changed my mind, and this is the value that comes through the discussions to the board, was that we say that we want all stakeholders to be part. So elections are elections. We all know it. You cannot control them. Anybody can be part of it. When you have the power to appoint through elected members, because our global board are elected, so we believe it has the representation of the membership. So being able to appoint gives you the opportunity to close the gaps that you have in the regions. For example, you don't have a representative of a port in the global board. We do in the European board. So that gives us the flexibility to what we preach, to cover all angles. So the knowledge and that of the board, yes, elections are good. I think, first of all, like Nigel mentioned before, it's the first time that now we have all 5 boards. So let it run. I mean, we were lucky enough that we had the lawyer, Constantinos, going through the bylaws in order to have something in writing and in place now. We'll see how it runs for the next 3 or 4 years, and then we can always come back. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Hello, everyone. Nicholas Vassiliadis speaking, Agatas Energy. Just wanted to let you know that we would like to have more courses, like for the beginners, for the new traders, which they are coming new to the industry, so we can improve their skills and, you know, all the stuff.
We intend to increase our trainings in 2 ways. First of all, collaborating with local regulators like Maritime Port Authority in Singapore, in the ARA region, and in other regions as well, hopefully in Turkey as well, in order to participate in official training programs. That's the one aspect. The other aspect is our focus. You use the word beginners. I would use the word newcomers, because we believe that this is, I will be quite open, this is lacking, in my opinion. Young people who enter this business sometimes lack fundamental knowledge, and we are here to provide this as well. Nigel, do you agree on that?
Constantinos, I agree completely. When Doug Barrow-Angus and myself sat down to write the basic bunker course, which was right at the start of IBIA, we knew that an awful lot of the younger people in traders' offices, in suppliers' offices, had very, very limited understanding of what it was all about. And we thought, we will try and produce just a one-day course that at least sets them on the right path. They're still going to need further training, they're going to need internal mentoring, etc. But we saw that that was something we could do straight away, and we did, and that course is still being used, albeit updated. But there are so many opportunities. I mean, quite honestly, I could be running courses every day of the year for years, and we would still not meet the total need.
All right, thank you.
Very good morning, everybody. United. It's Nikos Marmatsouris. I represent Next Maritime. It's a multinational ship agency company. And I really support IBIA's efforts in order to do international standardization, which has been bothering, I think, the shipping operators for years. I would like to ask if there is any, if there is any statistics that you keep, knowing that there is a jungle out there, because every sovereign country have their own regulations about bunkering, and IBIA is trying to make a standardized rule for all around the world. Is there any statistics showing what is the success ratio? How well does IBIA or IMO perhaps as well succeed in persuading the sovereign countries to change their regulations in order to have a standardized bunkering around the world? Thank you.
Statistics for success for convincing a sovereign country to change the regulations is quite a unique exercise. Very original idea. It's, but the countries would consider this as a defeat. IBIA would consider this as a success. So I don't think these are very popular statistics to advertise. Having said that, local regulations always have a caveat at the end. Very small letters, sometimes with ink which is not even visible, which says if our regulations are satisfied through a global scheme, our regulations will just adopt the global scheme and then fade away. However, and this is a very bold underline, however, if local regulations bring revenues to the sovereign state, these local regulations will not go away, but will simply change name. So, having said that, you need to understand that what IBIA is trying to do is to have a unified set of regulations through a globally accepted association for our decarbonization discussion, this is the IMO. For the ECA zones, this is the IMO. However, for the local regulations pertaining to the specific bunkering procedures, for example, how the customs office operates, for example, whether biofuels are allowed to be provided to the vessels and whether biofuels have been incorporated in national law, I'm using examples of our yesterday's panelists, then this is not a matter of succeeding in telling them something. It's a matter of just speaking out loud through the regional stakeholders. If they point out to some clearly logical proviso, then IBIA has the right to say, can you please hear us out? What you have in place doesn't make technical, commercial, legal, or operational sense. And our proposal is this. What usually happens in these cases, and we have done this, what usually happens in these cases is endless discussions. However, we have seen in jurisdictions which do not consider their regulations as carved in stone, we have seen that gradually they do change them. Alexandra used an example which is very, very important and started from Singapore. Singapore did not allow the conventional bunker barges to carry more than P24. This is an IMO, of course, but Singapore was the strictest of jurisdictions, if I'm not mistaken. And you can imagine more than 90% of the barges are not IMO2 barges, so they could not be considered as chemical tankers to carry more than P24 biofuels. We started this discussion locally through MPA. So MPA said, listen, if you manage to convince the IMO to change it, we will change it. So we thought that they were mocking us. I think they were at the time, because they thought that it's impossible for an association like IBIA to simply go to the IMO and persuade them to change this regulation. So the volunteer members of the global board, we have our day jobs, as we said. We discussed, asked the input of our volunteer members of our working group, discussed, approached other associations, discussed, and made a joint, how do we say that? Submission, a joint submission to the IMO. That was a year after the original discussions with the MPA. And we did it. So the MPA changed it. So next time we go talk with the MPA, and we have been talking regularly with the MPA ever since, they don't mock us anymore. So if they ask, and by mocking I don't mean really mocking, you understand, asking from us the impossible. Everything is possible if you can do it coherently, but if it makes sense. If half of you don't like something and the other half of you like it, then it's an internal thing. And for that, your first stop is a regional association, the Turkish Bunker Industry, the Turkish Bunker Association.
It's a perfect example of what Constantinos said, because we had a state country that originally didn't want to change. It changed, and before ever rectified yet, because it's not yet as law, they went and make an adjustment, and now it's allowed. So in some cases, it's a very good proposal, but I think it's impossible to keep the statistics. Even if IMO puts out a regulation, it's up to the countries to make it a local law. And that, you know how it is. I mean, if you take Greece, for example, it could be a law in the Gazette that it has to do with the health and it has to do with bunkers. So we will never find out if it ever passes as law. But it's something that hopefully as AI and IT becomes more, maybe we can track. But thank you.